This is the luxury world. Get inspired with us today and tomorrow. The modern Rolex buying experience is not defined by luxury or ease, but by restriction, confusion, and a carefully orchestrated sense of inaccessibility. The average consumer, after diligently saving for months or even years, might decide to purchase a Rolex, only to encounter an elusive process that begins at an authorized dealer. There, the initial response is often the same: placement on a so-called waitlist, accompanied by a vague promise of future availability. But beneath this seemingly innocuous interaction lies an intricate network of manipulation, selective access, and artificially engineered scarcity. In this video brought to you by the Luxury World, we will reveal how the Rolex buying experience was never broken. It was built this way. What appeared to be chaos was, in fact, control. And what was sold exclusively was simply a system engineered to serve a much larger goal: total vertical integration and absolute market dominance. Please subscribe to Luxury World for exclusive access to upcoming insights, curated content, and expert guidance to help elevate every step of your watch investment journey. Despite Rolex producing over 1.2 million watches annually and commanding approximately 30% of the entire Swiss watch market, most storefronts remain notably barren. The average showroom features empty display cases or exhibition-only models, timepieces that may be admired but never acquired. This contradiction between prolific production and visible scarcity is not coincidental. It reflects a deliberate structure designed to reinforce brand exclusivity, elevate market pricing, and ultimately shift the power dynamic away from the customer. The desired watch, often a steel sports model such as the Submariner or GMT-Master II, becomes a symbolic reward. Access is granted not based on interest or intent to buy, but on demonstrated loyalty through prior spending on less desirable merchandise, a system some call pay-to-play. This retail environment is often justified by the narrative of overwhelming demand and limited supply, a story repeatedly reinforced through advertising and dealer responses. However, closer examination reveals this claim to be misleading. Rolex operates as an industrial powerhouse, utilizing advanced manufacturing methods and precision automation while maintaining a strong public image of artisanal, handmade craftsmanship. Leaked production data for staple models, such as the Submariner, reveal consistent year-over-year growth, undermining claims of restricted output. Scarcity, therefore, does not originate in the factory. It is implemented and maintained at the point of sale, a rumored internal policy, known informally among insiders as the 70/30 rule, offers insight into this mechanism. Authorized dealers are allegedly required to accept a bulk of less desirable watches, including precious metal variants or gem set models, in exchange for a smaller allocation of the high-demand steel sport references. For every 70 slower-moving watch, only 30 of the most sought-after pieces are supplied. This leaves dealers in a difficult position. The inventory they are most capable of selling arrives only when they agree to carry the inventory they cannot. As a result, sales teams begin using the high-demand models as leverage, coaxing clients into purchasing fewer desirable items in hopes of qualifying for future allocation. Although Rolex has publicly condemned the gray market, calling it detrimental to brand integrity, the economic benefits it provides are substantial. The gray market serves as a barometer for real-world consumer demand. Secondary pricing data offers Rolex valuable insight into how much buyers are truly willing to pay for various references, without the brand having to conduct official studies. In effect, the inflated prices create additional desirability and generate media hype, turning timepieces into perceived financial assets. Additionally, the gray market captures a demographic that might otherwise turn to competing brands, especially wealthy individuals unwilling to endure the official waitlist process. Thus, the gray market is not a flaw in Rolex's distribution system. It is a complementary feature. It sustains demand, inflates perceived value, and allows Rolex to appear publicly disconnected from the pricing games that fuel its desirability. Dealers absorb the dissatisfaction, while Rolex maintains its pristine image. But this long-running system was only phase one of a far grander plan. In 2023, a seismic shift occurred. Rolex acquired Bucherer, one of the world's largest and most influential luxury watch retailers. This acquisition marked Rolex's first substantial move toward vertical integration. With Bucherer under its control, Rolex gained direct access to global retail operations, sales staff, customer data, and, most critically, the power to control inventory flow without third-party interference. This was preceded by the late 2022 launch of Rolex's certified pre-owned CPO program, the brand's official entry into the secondary market. Previously, gray dealers and flippers captured the premium resale profits. With the CPO initiative, Rolex inserted itself directly into that ecosystem. A pre-owned Rolex can now be sold by the brand itself, often at a price higher than retail for a new model. By legitimizing and formalizing resale through authorized channels, Rolex has positioned itself to benefit from every stage of a product's lifecycle, from production and first sale to secondhand valuation and resale. This move not only reclaims lost profits from the gray market, but also consolidates brand authority. It allows Rolex to dictate the narrative, control pricing, and monitor how long a watch remains in circulation before returning to the brand's ecosystem. The introduction of CPO programs, combined with retail acquisitions, signals a deliberate transition away from dealer dependency toward a closed-loop system governed entirely by Rolex. This vertical consolidation strategy serves several objectives. First, it eliminates the unpredictability associated with third-party retailers, who may undermine brand messaging or foster illicit dealings. Second, it allows Rolex to gather comprehensive consumer data, enabling targeted marketing, strategic product allocation, and optimized production cycles. Third, it guarantees tighter control over pricing and brand image across both primary and secondary markets. Under this model, Rolex emerges not just as a manufacturer, but as an omnipresent force within the luxury timepiece ecosystem. Every stage of the customer journey, from aspiration to acquisition, resale, and beyond, falls under direct Rolex supervision. This unprecedented level of control is the culmination of decades of market engineering. The journey to this point was meticulously crafted. It began by conditioning consumers to accept long wait lists, jump through hoops, and pay tribute through unrelated purchases. This cultivated exclusivity, social validation, and perceived scarcity. It funneled the most valuable customers through a controlled pipeline and pushed the rest toward the gray market, where Rolex quietly observed and profited indirectly. Now, with brand-owned retail and pre-owned programs in place, the final transformation is complete. Total vertical domination. On the surface, direct-to-consumer strategies may appear to promise transparency, fairness, and streamlined service. However, the history of Rolex's strategic behavior suggests otherwise. The psychological mechanics that powered the waitlist game, prestige, exclusivity, controlled access, are too valuable to discard. They have been foundational in transforming Rolex from a respected watchmaker into a global luxury phenomenon. Instead of eliminating these tactics, Rolex may choose to refine them. The new corporate interface might present a friendlier face, but the underlying principles are likely to remain intact. Algorithmic waitlists, curated customer profiles, and data-driven purchase prioritization may replace traditional sales discretion, all while preserving the same hierarchical barriers that once defined the dealer-based system. The customer, therefore, remains under the same spell, albeit through a more sophisticated apparatus. The promise of access, the illusion of fairness, and the myth of scarcity will continue to be powerful tools. Rolex's ascent to full-spectrum control was never about selling watches efficiently. It was about dominating perception, shaping value, and consolidating power. Ultimately, this transformation reflects broader changes in the luxury landscape. As leading brands across industries shift toward vertical integration, customer experience becomes less about personalization and more about control. Rolex now stands as a textbook example of how strategic scarcity, retail manipulation, and controlled distribution can manufacture not only demand, but also cultural dominance. As the new model solidifies, consumers may wish to consider whether participating in this system serves their interests, or whether it merely perpetuates a cycle of exclusion disguised as prestige. The question is no longer whether Rolex watches are worth the money, but whether the process required to obtain one is worth the price of dignity. What are your thoughts on the tactics exposed in this video? Feel free to share your perspective in the comments and let others know whether this system is one of brilliance or betrayal. If the insights provided here proved valuable, consider liking the video and following Luxury World for more in-depth commentary on timepieces, market strategies, and the evolving luxury landscape. Thank you for reading and stay tuned for more revelations in the next episode.